Hi everybody, hi, and welcome to our little Bloomz Live promoting our show, our first anniversary show, which is coming up on the 24th and 25th September. The dates are at the bottom of the screen, just to remind you if you do forget what I've said, so I don't have to keep telling you. And our website is there as well in the banner. So I'm just going to introduce us all. I'm Fiona Hooper, a member of the Bloomz. We have Renate Roske-Shelton, who's also a member of the Bloomz. And we have a special guest today who's joining us for this show, Debbie Page.
Hello.
So, hi everybody, welcome. And let's get going with telling people what's going to happen. And Debbie, so that you can ask us questions, find out anything you need to know about the show, which will also help people who are planning to come along to know what to expect and what they can look forward to, which is some fantastic art, talking with artists in their own studios, live, asking questions, getting feedback, just anything they want to do. If they want to buy some work, that's also absolutely fine, of course. We'd love that, but it's not the main purpose of the show. The purpose is to meet people, get to know the people, for them to get to know us and our work, and just to have a really lovely chat, a bit like a private view where you can bring a glass of wine as well if you like as well, of course. Sadly, we can't provide that for everybody, but post-COVID, who knows? So there we go. That's basically what we're here for today. So Debbie, do you have any questions lined up at the moment? Or
I do. I get the general idea that people come along to the website, and do they sort of go to a particular logo or a particular picture of somebody and then go into their studio, or do we take it in turn so that I'm on at 11 o'clock and then someone else is at 11:30, or how does that sort of work?
It basically works a bit like a physical exhibition where we're each in our own separate room around a lobby. Okay. So when people log in, they'll need to get their free tickets. They are free they can register on our website. I believe it's through Ticket Tailor, and that gives them a link to be able to log in to the show. Now, once they're logged in, they will be able to view our videos to see who they might like to go and visit. If they may want to visit everybody, or they may want to concentrate just on certain people if they've got an interest in abstract or landscape or fiber art, whatever. And then they'll be able to choose from the list on the screen of the artists that they want to visit. So they can make their own way around the show. We're all there for the whole show, so they can pop in and out of different rooms, go back and see somebody. There's a breakout room that if they want to just go and think about things for a bit, they haven't got to leave the show and then come back in. They can just go to a breakout room, go and make a cup of coffee, think about some work they've seen or questions they want to ask, and then come back to visit the artist, as and when they're ready. And they can just visit as many artists as they want, as I say, or as few. And you can have multiple people in your room at any one time. So, and people can see how many people are in each artist's room. So, if they particularly want to go and see you and you've got 5 people in your room already, they may say, okay, I'll just go and visit someone else until you're a bit quieter. So they can sort of manage it in that way as well. So, we tend to get people spreading out a little bit. Although I have to say, if Cindy watches this on replay, the Australians do tend to stick together a little bit. So they all tend to congregate in Cindy's room. But we have to try and find a way to get them out of there and split them up a bit. But yeah. So
I do want to add to that. We find that a lot of people are confused at first if they've never been. And so it's really simple. We have a concierge. So if you actually log in, and supposedly you booked with your event for, at 10 o'clock, whatever day, you get that link. Anytime they're on for the next 2-3 hours, whatever the length of time is, you can log on. we encourage you to log in early because we find that people tend to stay. They're having fun. They don't know what to expect. So you get the concierge. We have our wonderful Steve, who is very good at answering any questions. We have show reels explaining it. There's mail beforehand that you get that explains everything. So don't worry, just try it. And it's self-explanatory as you go on. And there is this human intervention, our concierge. And if you end up in any room, any of the artists will help you. So, you know, just experience it. You really don't have to remember a lot of things. If you don't know any of us when you come to the show, you know, just start someplace or ask Steve, where should I go? And he will direct you to a room that's currently not as busy. There's various reasons for that. You know, people get busy in the rooms and they get engaged. You can ask the artist questions. It's a real good opportunity for people to really get to know what art making may be about. Difference of us, we have different, like you, Diane. I want to know about you. If we can
Debbie.
go there in terms of your art. We don't have a current potter artist, sculptor, I guess. So tell us about you.
Okay. Well, first of all, my pots, if I show you one, just to sort of give you a rough idea. This is called a moon jar. Sorry, I'm not really aware where my camera is. This is called a moon jar, and it's comes from the Korean culture, pottery culture, which is a very, very strong culture, and it's very important in Korea. And the moon jar is a sort of like a symbol of independence to the Koreans. They finally got rid of the Chinese in the mid-1600s, and they had this wonderful Renaissance flowering of culture, everything from pottery to painting to literature. It was a real golden age, bit like it was in Europe, really, with the Renaissance. And it's still a very, very important cultural icon for them. So in the last Winter Olympics in Korea, a moon jar was the cauldron for the Olympic flame. They were traditionally white, made of porcelain, and at the time it was a very highly technical skill that they had developed, and they're quite rightly very proud of it. Although they were white, the way that they made their porcelain meant it wasn't pure white. There were sort of inclusions, impurities in it, so they're often quite flecked, and they're enormous. I mean, the original ones I could not put my arms around. They really were big white vessels, and initially they were known as big jars, and then over time they acquired this name, or this sort of affectionate name, really, of moon jar, because again the moon is very important in Korean culture. And
what were they used for?
They were used for storage of foods. So they would have had a cork or a sort of a wet clay cloth covering over them, but they were used for preservatives, so kimchi, rice wine, rice. They weren't just sort of decorative pieces. They were definitely used, but over time they have lost that usage. They have become just decorative, more sculptural vessels. About how I got interested in them. So if I'm rambling, just shut me up, okay?
No, we'd like to know.
I did about, coming up about 20 years ago, I did a training course. I don't know if you've heard of them, Fiona, Sitting Guilds courses, which are in the UK, very important organisation for training practical skills. And I did it as an alternative to a degree in ceramics. And one of the things we had to do was research and make a presentation of 12, they were meant to be living potters. And of my 12, I chose a lady called Lucy Ree, who was dead, but I was allowed to get away with it because she's a very important potter in the UK. And she was an Austrian emigre who came over just before the Second World War and really made an incredibly important mark in the ceramic field, in ceramic studio ceramics in the UK. And her work now goes for hundreds of thousands of pounds. There is a very famous picture of her in her 80s. She was a tiny little lady. She's got white hair. She's dressed in white. She's sitting on a white stool against a white background with a white table next to her. And it's a very famous picture. It's taken by Anthony Armstrong-Jones, Lord Snowdon. And on this table next to her is this enormous pot, this enormous white pot. And I saw this picture when I was doing research. I thought, she could get in that pot. She is that small. The pot is that big. You know, it really is quite a striking picture. And it's just all white except for her little pink face. And I just said to my tutor, what is that pot? It's enormous. What is it? And she said, oh, it's a moon jar, and walked off. as teachers do, you know. Oh, it's a moon jar. Flip it right off. She goes. I was like, what the hell is it? And I've always been interested in the moon. You know, I was woken up like an awful lot of children in July 51 years ago and sat in front of the television to watch this. You could just about see a man climbing down a ladder. So I've always been interested in the moon and the space, and to hear this sort of moon, blooming great pot, just lady whose work was still entrances me. And I just sort of started thinking about them, researching them a bit more, and then I started making them. And there is something about when you're a 3D person, something about working with a sphere that is positively obsessive. You've got to get it right. You've got to get it spherical. You've got to get it smooth. You mustn't let it slump. All these things, all these technical things start sort of taking over your life. And I, at the time, was working, and I still do work in a clay called White Smooth, which is a beautiful, gives you a beautiful white canvas for colour. But I didn't want my moon jars white. I wanted them to reflect the fact that the lunar surface is white and silver and grey and dark. And, you know, we've got phrases like blue moon, strawberry moon, blood moon. And I do like working with colour. So a couple of things all came together, as they often do. I was working on my moon jars, getting them nice and spherical. I was playing with smoke firing as a technique. So I was putting moon jars in my dustbin and firing them and getting some really wonderful smoky effects, but they're greys and they're blacks and they're browns, and I love colour. See the wallpaper behind me. And then one day I'd fired a moon jar in a very traditional glaze, earthenware glaze called glossy white tin. And just thought, oh, a bit of room in the dustbin. What would happen if I put this glazed pot in the smoke firing? And I'd already found that all the books on smoke firing, people quite clearly had never smoke fired, because they were telling me things that just clearly either they were saying it didn't happen, but I was proving it could happen, and vice versa. So I put this glazed pot in the smoke firing, and when I took it out, it was covered in soot. And glossy white tin is a very, very widely used glaze in pottery because it doesn't crack, doesn't crackle, and so it's used for domestic wear, so you can get a nice clean cup, nice clean plate. The smoke had made this thing crackle. Ooh. And the smoke had gone into the cracks, and it was like, oh my God, what have I done? It instantly, from a brand new pot that I just made it like the week before, I knew it looked antique. Oh, this is interesting. This is really, anyway. So I played, and true alchemy, and I know, and the real sort of happy accident thing. I was expecting it to come out in pieces.
Yeah, those are the best.
They are. And I mean, another famous potter I know once said to me, you know, once is an accident, twice is a technique. So you've got to do it again. Got to do it again. And I was getting the same thing. And so I started leaving areas on the white glazing, leaving areas unglazed on the pot. So I was getting dark and light. I was getting shiny from the glaze. I was getting matte from the smoke effect. And then I started adding colour. At the time, and still to this day, my favorite color is this glaze here. It's called a Persian blue. It's a beautiful glaze, but it is awful to work with. It's very runny. So you put it on the rim of a pot, put it on the rim of a pot, and it will probably slide down to here. So you can only glaze part of the pot, which is really infuriating.
When it's fired, is it that it's all happening in the oven? So you don't really know until you open it up.
Exactly. So as well as the white, I started involving the blue as well, and getting sort of earth-like. You know, the space link, that fantastic photograph of when I think it was Apollo 8, maybe Apollo 9, went round the back of the moon, the dark side of the moon, and they saw what they called Earthrise as they came round the other side of this blue marble floating in space, which I still think, you know, still sends shivers down my spine. So I'm trying to sort of get that sort of, this one not particularly, this one's more
well, on this one I see it looks beautiful, almost like a gold
this line here there is actually a gold line in there. This is another technique, called kintsugi. The smoke firing process is tough on the pot, very tough. And sometimes they crack. And what I've started to do is this sort of repair with, traditionally in Japan, it was repaired with pine resin and powdered gold. I use the modern equivalent of araldite, and it's a gold powder. It's gold coloured powder. It's not gold, sadly. I wish it were. And the idea is that if you feel something, you want to repair it, you love it enough to repair it, that the fact that you repair it gives it additional value, if not on a monetary value, at least a very personal value. It's a concept called wabi-sabi.
Yeah, I love that whole thing. I mean, there's so many elements in there of what you describe and your art and how you discovered it. It's all, you know, it's a wonderful story. I guess one aspect that I want to know, since you seem to know a lot about Korean culture and the history of that, well, is your own interest in astronomy or related things with space, is the moon any particular godlike symbol, or what does the moon mean in Korean culture? Just curious.
I'm not actually, to answer, I'm not actually 100% sure. It's a very good question, and I will look into it. I just know that it has an importance, and that it is. I mean, I think the religion within Korea is Buddhism,
right,
to a very large extent. So, and Buddhism obviously doesn't venerate celestial bodies. I mean, it's probably like saying, you know, that green is important in the UK because you all like Robin Hood. You know, I will look into it, Renate, and I will let you know.
I really be interested because, you know, it's following a little bit my own interests, not so much directly translated into art, but at times I love painting the moon. But I guess, you know, moon and space and things we can see that all people on Earth can see, and you know, the amazing thing, and this is maybe the Buddhist concept potentially, you know, is our small role versus the universe, so vis-a-vis the universe, and plugging in and being part of it. You know, in English, the songs with "we're moon dust" and this kind of thing. So it's all similarly related. Very interesting. And then your other keyword with the gold and the gold resin. That's a keyword for Fiona. It used to be gold.
It is. Yes. Yes.
Well,
Well,
I
last
don't know
year
if you want to go there.
yeah. Last year I started using gold leaf in my work, which was something that I was just inspired to by seeing it in some other people's work, and it's just such fun. And I have one right here, one I made earlier. So, and you can see when the light changes on the gold, it almost becomes like a different painting. And in low light, what happens is that the paint almost turns into silhouette, so it looks like a sunrise coming through. So I've really enjoyed these. So I gold leaf the canvas to start with, and then work on it with oils, normally with a knife, because that's my preferred way of working, which these ones are all done with knives behind me. Portraits I do with brushes, but that's another story. But the gold leaf, and I've done a silver leaf already now, which has also worked really well for a coastal scene. So I'm going to get some more silver. I've got plenty of gold leaf supplies at the moment, and some ready and waiting to be done once I've got some portrait commissions finished. So I'm itching to get on with those, but I have to be professional here. And I'm also thinking I might even try copper leaf as well, because that would just give a different color bias, different tone, and just see how that works. But definitely small silver as well, because that for coastal things, water, it just works really well. And I've even started, not on this one, but I've even started putting a glaze over the gold leaf to tint the gold a different color, but you still get that gold showing through. And in fact, I've now only got this one gold leaf and one silver leaf one, which I was keeping for exhibition. So I need to do some more, because they are really fun, and they, people do seem to love them. They seem to speak to people with the way that the light affects them, and
it's always something new. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it looks beautiful. I love your gold technique pictures. I would love to see the copper too. In fact, that's, I'm making connections here, but I did see the full moon the other day. Coming right over, I'm right on the Bay of Fundy, and because we've had the environmental impacts with the fires everywhere, way out west in Canada, thousands of kilometers away, we still get the effects here in terms of reddish moon. It's like, it's hard to capture because it's so bright still on a photograph. I don't have the equipment for it, but they've been very much red moons, more like a sunset kind of setting.
wow.
So this copper, I'm sort of envisioning, some kind of beautiful disc. And I was going to ask you, either in poetry, which you also combine with your paintings, or the paintings, do you incorporate the moon? It's mostly trees, landscapes. Do you bring in the moon?
I haven't actually. I don't think I've ever. Oh no, I did it with one of an owl once, some years ago, but I haven't for a long time included a moon in my paintings at all, which is an interesting idea. Obviously, it'd be completely different, atmosphere and feel to the painting than a daylight scene. But when you're talking about the red moon with the environmental impact of the fires and everything, I mean, that's something that's really very close to my heart, about the environment and what man has done to this planet, and how, what we can all do to try and reverse some of the damage, or at least stop it getting any worse. And, with my art, I like to try to remind people about the beauty of nature and how fragile it is. And if by any small way my art can help encourage people to protect this planet, and, just to cut down on using plastics, cut down on driving everywhere, when they don't need to drive, a walk, which would do them good, be better for the environment. Anything I can do that helps to encourage that is good in my book. And yeah, I do the poems now for most of my paintings, and I do a weekly live show on a Wednesday, 7 o'clock UK time, if anyone wants to come and join in. And I have a guest poet, so we each write a poem about one of my paintings. And certainly 2 of the poets that I work with are environmental poets, and they produce some wonderful poetry which really helps to bring home the message about, you know, the planet and what we're doing, and how, you know, a lot of things are disappearing. You know, the ice caps are disappearing, and it's just not good news. So, you know, working with people like that is just an honor, you know, because they do some wonderful poetry, and you know, try and help to make people more aware of these things as well.
So anybody out there thinking about coming to the Bloomz event, you know, go talk poetry with Fiona if you want to find out more. And also, I think we're going to post our links like to your show down below. I think each of us, you know, has outside activities or associated affiliated activities.
We'll post our links.
Deb, do you do anything like a weekly, monthly show event that's public where people can come get to know you more, or is it primarily specific exhibits?
I do. I haven't done for the last few weeks because it's been summer holidays. But I have been doing a Thursday afternoon live from my studio, which isn't terribly, it's not structured in the same sense that Fiona sounds like. You know, I haven't thinking about poetry, about the work, but I will, you know, I will show people sort of, you know, what I'm making at the moment, how I go about doing certain techniques, generally chatting about my work, that sort of thing. So I should be restarting that again probably next week. So it's something.
Yeah, it really is very helpful. So if you started, you know, as part of the Bloomz, we can also put those links to it. I think it's so important to get people more interested in our works, art, understanding more where we're coming from, what's going on in our minds as we're producing things. The whole environmental issue, you know, it's always an interesting task between some people trying to clean up everything, making it very pristine, idealized, and then
I just wanted, could I just, I've got some questions, and I just thought now might be a good time just to interject them. This is like the voice of your admin. It's okay, because we've got Sammy and Elisa.
Okay, so we have Stephanie. Is that Stephanie?
Yeah,
that's
I'm irrelevant. I'm just asking questions. So we've got Sammy and Elisa on who've been asking questions, and both of them have been welcoming Debbie and how much they love her moon jars. But Sammy was saying, what is the largest size moon jar that you have created, Debbie?
Hang on, Sammy. I can't get my arms around it. It's about 34 centimeters tall by about 36 in diameter. Wow. It's very heavy. It's the biggest I can get in my kiln. I'm fortunate in that I've got access to college kilns. I also teach pottery. So the idea for this summer was to do an even bigger one, but you know what plans are like. I'm going to put that down if you don't mind. So my ambition is
to say that looks so fragile, you know. If you hug it strongly enough, it may break.
They're pretty tough, but they don't bounce. Put it that way. So yeah, most of my moon jars are sort of about. This is about 17, 18 centimeters round, spherical. So I do make bigger ones. I would like to make much bigger ones. You know, the ambition is there. It's just having the kiln space to do it. But thank you for the question.
Yeah, and the other thing Sammy was saying is for the Bloomz show, will there be a particular type of moon jar or anything specific that you are going to be showing at the show, or is it just a general that you'll have at the show?
I've got at the moment 2 series that I'm working on. One is quite a short-term series called Cherry Blossom. My studio overlooks a cherry tree, and this year's blossom was unbelievable. It was absolutely stunning. So there'll be some of those there, but most of the ones I make are what I call swirling water. So, you know, we've got the blue and the white with the occasional fleck of green going through to sort of symbolize and work with water. And I also still do a bit of raku firing and smoke firing as well. So mostly it will be the water with some cherry blossom and the odd smoke fired one. Yeah, that's about it. Unless, because in the next 2 weeks something hits me and I make it, but time is running out for that. So yeah.
Do you do commissions as well, or is it mostly you produce and then offer to?
I do commissions. The interesting thing from my perspective though is that they're all completely different. They're also very random. The way I apply the glaze using a sponge and a pastry brush means I have some very random glaze effects going on. And obviously I can't control the smoke effects at all. The only way I can control it, if it comes out of the dustbin a little too pale, I'll put it back in again. So the effects are very random, and I find people are uncomfortable with that. They'd much rather see something in front of them, and if they like it, they will go for it. If they don't, they will walk away. I've had people in the past come along and say, oh, I love this one. Can you make me one just the same? Which is interesting because it promotes a very interesting discussion about how things can never be, from the way I make them, how things can never be exactly the same. So, I mean, I've had, just like many potters, I've had people ask me, you know, I've had, you know, somebody once said, you know, can you make me 3 moon jars of these different sizes? I don't mind about the colours, don't mind about the smoke effects. When you're doing something like that in pottery, you always make at least, if someone's asking you for 1, you make 3. I was asked for 3, I made 5. And she loved all 5 and bought all 5, which was fantastic.
Excellent.
But that rarely happens, actually. The commissions of the moon jars rarely happen.
Yeah.
Other than just say, are you doing a big one soon, or are you doing a small one soon? That sort of thing.
So one thing I'd just like to point out for everybody that's listening in, as you can gather from the way that we're all chatting here and the information that's coming out and the way that we're all passionate about what we do, about our work, you can come along for 10 minutes if you want to for the show, but you'd be very well advised to allow a good couple of hours, if not more, because we've had people who've said, oh, I'm just going to come along for 10 minutes just to show my face. 3 hours later, they're still there. So try and clear some time, dedicate it to the show. You know, if it's not for you, that's fine, but I think you'll probably be totally amazed and overawed and just have such a fantastic time. You'll be glad that you've booked that time out of your diary. So, you know, just a little hint there, because it's just such a fantastic exhibition, and, you know, so many wonderful artists from around the globe to see. We've got Renate here, who's in Canada, Anne-Marie's in Canada, we've got Felisa in Italy, we've got Cindy in Australia, we've got Mac in Scotland, and then quite a few of us in England as well. Possibly one soon to be in Wales as well, but so we're the voice, absolutely. So try and allow plenty of time, and in fact, if you come on the Friday evening or the Saturday morning and you want to come back, your pass will be valid for all 3 shows, so you can come back for all 3 shows if you want to, and work your way around everybody. Make sure you've got time to talk to everybody and see everything you want to do, and ask all the questions that come to you. And if it's not the last show and you think of a question, come back to the next one and ask it. We'll all be there waiting for you still, so that'd be brilliant. Look forward to seeing you all there. So, Mac, by the way, Debbie asks, do you use coils to form your jars?
I do. For the very small ones, I use pinch pots and put 2 together. And for this size up, I coil into molds and put 2 halves together. Yes, I don't throw. They're all hand built.
Wow. If you put some links in the comments afterwards, do you have anything that people could see on your Facebook page or anywhere showing how you do that? Because I'm sure people will be fascinated to find out more about it. Yeah,
I can't think of the exact date, but I have done stuff, so I can certainly put people in contact with my Facebook page. And yeah.
Excellent. And Renate, do you have any new works for the show, Renate?
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I should be so lucky. I'm still working away on a project that combines astronomy. I think we lost
Debbie for a minute. Hopefully she'll come back in.
Might come back. I'll just keep talking a moment. I'm still working on more or less a picture book series about local legends with various astronomy-related meanings. There's this whole concept of as in the sky, in the universe, here on Earth. And so the sky used to be, and its changes, seasonal changes, and positioning of stars used to be interpreted and used as sort of a metaphor for life on Earth, and what to prepare kids and other members in the community for. And so stories used to be told around campfires. And yes, there she is.
Sorry about
that. Don't worry, you're back now. That's what matters.
Yeah, it has this sort of interesting effect. Okay, I'm done, I'm gone. But I know it wasn't intended. So I will have some new works. I'm not sure quite what it is yet. I'm also thinking about doing some works on paper, because related, there's this one issue about our wonderful artworks and shipping it across the world, which I can imagine would be a real challenge for the pottery as well. And getting it there safely in one piece. I've thought about it, and so I'm thinking about doing a lot more on paper potentially this time around, and offer that up so it can be potentially rolled up or flat, either way, and sent more easily and at less expense to faraway places, and then they can locally mount and frame it. So I think so look for some of that, and I'll just put it. What I did last time, I had easels set up behind me, and then as people asked questions, I could hold it up more closely, and then also refer to my website. I have work posted there, so people can definitely see close-ups, and a lot of us, with the paintings, we have in our reels and show reels and materials views of in situ photos where you could imagine it in your living room. Or, there's also now utilities where if you send us a picture of your living room, or we give you a copy of the picture, then you can play with it in terms of what it might look like in your room. Because sometimes I think that's one drawback of the online, is the sizing. People are surprised sometimes how much bigger it is or smaller, or it goes all ways. So but we help with that, with just additional information as well, and you can see it as we move ourselves and to the cameras. Some of us can do that, some of us don't.
Just to say at that point that we're talking about paintings here, but we've got so many different types of art at the show. We've got well, we're going to have pottery at this one as well, moon jars, which is amazing. It's the first time we've had pottery, which is brilliant. We've got abstract, we've got obviously landscape, we've got goddesses and mandalas, we've got animals, we've got different types of mediums as well, from watercolor, acrylic, the textile art as well, using fabrics that Katie uses. We've got needle felting, fiber art sculpture, which is Steph. We've got encaustic wax, we've got oils, we've got so many different types of work available, and so many different types of subjects and different styles. So there's something for everybody, I think, with all the different styles that we've got at the show. So come along and have a look, basically. Come and join us. Yeah.
Good.
So Debbie, do you have any other questions about, what to expect, how it's going to work? And
yeah, I mean, for the actual showtime, live showtime thing, I was thinking, should I be demonstrating? Should I just have some pots? I mean, obviously, I'll set my studio out with things on display, but
yeah. Well, first of all, you'll have your show reel playing on the screen anyway. So that'll be the main part of the screen for people to see. And then there'll be you at the side, just in a smaller window showing you, which you can have your pots there as well. But the main focus for people will be to see your slide reel showing, your different works, and you can have lots of different photos from different angles and pieces in situ, whatever. So yes, you can hold a piece up to the camera, but it won't be the main thing that people are seeing. But yes, if you want to do some demonstrating while you're talking, while people are visiting you, you could, as long as you'll be able to hold it up to the camera, then it might be all fine. Yes, yeah. I mean, I've sat here with my sketchbooks quite often, so if it's a bit quiet, I might just carry on with some drawing. And when people come in and talk to me, then I can just put that to one side and chat with them.
Yeah.
I must admit, my studio's not massive, so I don't tend to, this is not my actual studio. And it's got carpet on the floor in here, so oil paints, demonstrating,
No.
Can I, as the voice of admin, could I just add something that I know you were saying, Fiona, about the show reel being the main part on the screen, but as visitors, people can actually change that size. So if you want to demonstrate something and the visitor wants to see it, they can make the show reel smaller and see you bigger. So they can do that. And that was one of the things that Steve tells people, and what we had in the sort of, most people these days know how to use Zoom and things, but just in case there's just a line down the middle, the visitors can do. We can't do that as the exhibitors, but the visitors can.
But only having been an exhibitor and not a visitor, that's misleading people there. But so yes, if you want to demonstrate, they can make you bigger, as Steph said. So absolutely, it's your room. Do as you want to with it, to interact with people and demonstrate or not as you feel is the right thing to do. So
righty-ho. And what's the best way of pulling together my show reel? Is there a particular app that is best to use, or? A
lot of us use Canva, which is a web app. We can give you details of that afterwards. Or yes, you could use PowerPoint. Anything that does a presentation that'll, sort of flow through so that people can get, you know, the idea is so they can see a good representation of your work, what sort of thing you do. And if you want to put some information in there about you know, a slide with some text on it giving information, absolutely fine. It's your show reel to present you and your work to our visitors. So really make it yours. You know, everybody's show reels look different. We don't have a standard, you know, color palette or format.
Yeah, I think we have, I think Steph has a sheet, but you can ask any of us really. There are some timing issues that we found are handy, because at first the transitions were too fast, and that's sort of a guideline.
Yeah, 12 to 15 seconds per slide is quite good. If you've got more text on a slide, allow a bit longer so that people can read it. You know, obviously play it back and pretend you're seeing it for the first time. Can you see everything that you need to? Keep it without too many animations in it. Just keep it, you know, a slide, the next slide, because with the animations, if we've got any visitors whose broadband or internet is not quite as fast as it could be, then they will have problems watching your show reel, which obviously we don't want them to have problems. So
yeah, okay. And roughly how long
is it right that
so go on.
It will loop. You will loop it.
Yes, and when you play it, you set it to replay.
And it'll
Sorry, can you say that again?
When you run your show reel,
you
start it running, share that to your Zoom screen in your room, and then set it so that it does replay, so that it just keeps looping all the way through. Okay. And the length of the show reels varies. Again, it's a personal thing. I think my last one was about 9 or 10 minutes in total. So people can come in, if they watch part of it and think, that works not for me, it's not my style, they can go and watch somebody else. But if they want to sit and watch through the whole show reel, they may want to do that in peace and quiet. They may want to talk, they may want to just put comments in. It's entirely up to our visitors how much they want to interact with us. They don't have to talk, they don't have to show their faces if they don't want to. I mean, it's lovely if they do, because it's great actually interacting with people and seeing them. But there's no obligation to be live on camera if they don't want to be, and they can spend as long in your room as they want to watching your show reel. You know, maybe they're waiting for a painting to come around to see it again, or in your case a pot that they want to look at again. So it's very flexible. You know, we don't say, oh, they have to be exactly 5 minutes, 10 minutes or anything like that. And your own color schemes, you know, if you've got your own logo with a particular color scheme and you want that in your show reel, absolutely fine.
Okay.
And we then try and sort of watch each other's at times as well, to give feedback and constructive criticism and steal ideas.
Yeah, anytime you want to, you know, have any questions as you're going through it, just put it on the messenger feed and somebody will come back and help.
Okay. Okay, will do.
And it's actually helpful for everybody, because we don't always remember. We've now had a show. This is our anniversary show, I think, we haven't mentioned that yet either. It's a 1-year anniversary. So it's also wonderful for the first time to bring in guest artists. So
yeah, it sounds, I'm really excited.
Well, I'm very excited about having you and having those themes that you alluded to, and it just adds so much, I think.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be exciting. It's going to be good.
Are there any other questions anybody has? And
yeah, the dress rehearsal thing, is it literally we just sort of set everything up? It then check it all works, basically.
A full dress rehearsal, yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be for 3 hours, but it's a full dress rehearsal.
Yeah. It's for your benefit, and make sure the technology all works together. So
we'll update you, you know, separately for that. So
okay. And is that on the 18th?
We'll
Okay,
do that on
right.
Messenger just to make sure we know
Right.
what's going on. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So any other
Is there
questions?
anything
from
else
people?
for visitors to know, do you think? Or
If
did we
someone
cover-
is interested to buy, is it we direct them to a website or
No,
usual
you
platform?
you deal with that as you would do if they were contacting you from seeing
Right.
something. Anyway, they can either, if you've got facilities on your website, they can either buy through there, or what we have done in the past is have PayPal QR codes so that we could just hold that up to the camera, they could scan it and just pay.
Sounds clever.
Or you can send them an invoice, or they can do a bank transfer. However you want to organise that with people individually. We don't have a central payment system at all.
Yeah, I got that. Just, is there are we all trying to keep the same sort of way so that if someone's going from room to room, the system is the same? But if that's everyone does their own thing, fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Different countries involved, different everything, so that makes it a little bit more, and it's the best way to just keep it with each artist.
Yeah.
It seems to work very well so far, so it's good.
I think you'll
sounds
enjoy it a lot.
Well, I would say I'm looking forward to it. So
I think we'll all enjoy it, and hopefully all our visitors will enjoy it as much as all our other visitors have in the past. We've had some fantastic feedback. So
and if people have found this helpful too, I guess one more information is that each week leading up to the event on the 24th and 25th, we have a meeting like this with another group of artists that are participating, and so they'll be talking whatever they'll be talking about. And so each week from now on, we can tune in and sort of build up the excitement to the Bloomz show.
And a chance for people to get to know the other artists a bit more as well. So, and,
okay.
Lovely. Well, thanks ever so much, ladies. Thanks everybody for watching and joining us. And thanks for so many lovely comments as well. And we're just looking forward to the event and looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Absolutely.
So
yes,
take care, everybody. And we'll see you on the 24th and 25th September. So take care, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.